Joan of Artois, Countesses of Foix, Viscountess of Béarn, was a French noblewoman, and the wife of Gaston I de Foix, Count of Foix, Viscount of Béarn. From 1331 to 1347 she was imprisoned by her eldest son on charges of scandalous conduct, dissolution, and profligacy. Joan was the great-granddaughter of King Henry III of England and Eleanor of Provence family. Joan was born in 1289 in Countess, France, the second eldest daughter of Philip of Artois and Blanche de Dreux. Her paternal grandparents were Robert II of Artois and Amici de Courtenay, and her maternal grandparents were John II, Duke of Brittany, and Beatrice of England, the daughter of King Henry III of England and Eleanor of Provence. Joan had two brothers, Robert III of Artois and Othon of Artois, and four sisters, Margaret, Isabel, Marie, and Catherine, Countess of Armel. In 1298, when Joan was 9 years old, her father died of the wounds he had received at the Battle of Provence, in which he had fought a year earlier. Joan's aunt was Mao of Artois, with whom her brother Robert would litigate to obtain possession of the county of Artois, which Mao had inherited. Jury, despite being challenged by Robert, who believed the title and estates rightfully belonged to him following the death of his grandfather Robert II in 1302 at the Battle of the Golden Spurs. However, Mahat's rights as Jury Countess of Artois were upheld by King Philip IV, and upon her own death in 1329, the title passed to her daughter, Joan II, Countess of Burgundy, and Queen Consort of King Philip V of France. Marriage and issue. The letters of King Philip IV, dated the 7th of April 1299, recount the private agreements between the king and Roger Bernard III, Count of Foix, relating to the proposed marriage of Joan to the Count's eldest son, Gaston. In October 1301 at Senlis, the marriage contract was signed and Joan was subsequently wed to Gaston de Foix. 5 months later, on the 3rd of March 1302, upon the death of his father, Gaston became the Count of Foix and Viscount of Béarn. However, his mother Marguerite de Béarn acted as his regent until he reached his majority. Gaston and Joan together had 6 children. Gaston II de Foix, Count of Foix, Viscount of Béarn, married in 1327 Eleanor de Comminges, daughter of Bernard VII, Count of Comminges and Lord de Montfort, by whom he had a son, Gaston III, Count of Foix, Viscount of Béarn. He also had several illegitimate children by his favourite mistress Marie de Sans de Roncesvalles, as well as by other women whose names are not recorded. Roger Bernard IV de Foix married Constanza de Luna, daughter of Artel de Luna and Constanza Perez of Aragon, by whom he had 3 children. Robert de Foix, Bishop of Lavaur. Margaret of Foix. Blanche de Foix married in 1328 Jean de Grailly, Viscount of Castellon, Captal de Buc, by whom she had 2 children, including Jean de Grailly, Captal de Buc. Joan of Foix married Infante Peter of Aragon, Count of Ribagorza, Ampurias and Prades, son of James II of Aragon, and wife Blanche of Anjou, by whom she had 3 children, including Eleanor of Aragon, Queen of Cyprus, titular Queen of Jerusalem. Imprisonment. Joan's powerful influence over her husband Gaston created permanent conflict with both the local nobility and the administration, who in 1317 issued a request to Parliament in order to discharge her from the guardianship of her children, accusing her of scandalous conduct, dissolution and profligacy. A charter dated 1317 legally prevented her from having the guardianship of her children. Joan's husband had died from illness 2 years previously on the 13th of December 1315 in Pontoise. In spite of a compromise signed in 1325 in Beaugency, bitter quarrels became more frequent between Joan and her eldest son Gaston, who had succeeded his father as Count of Foix. In 1331, King Philip VI authorized Gaston to imprison Joan in the Château de Foix. She was later moved to Orthez, then to Lourdes. Finally, in 1347, her third eldest son, the Bishop of Lavaux, secured her release from prison and she retired to Carbonne. French historian Jules Michelet suggested a link between Joan's imprisonment in 1331 and the fact that her brother Robert was at the time being sued for forgery and accused of practicing witchcraft against the life of King Philip VI. Joan died on an unknown date sometime after the 24th of March 1350. Ancestors